So why do negative thoughts stick around? Even when you're trying so hard to stay positive, have you ever had that feeling where you can be out for dinner with your friends or something and you're having a good time, everyone's in a great mood, and suddenly you're just off thinking about something else and it sort of ruins your evening? Maybe you don't know what to talk about, you sort of start going inside your head and everyone around you is having fun and you're just, I can't get out of my head, I can't get out of my head, I can't get out of my head. And maybe you have these methods that you try and think positive and go, okay, cool, I'm just going to focus. I'm not going to worry about my bills or whatever's going on in my life. Just focus, have dinner with my friends, okay? Still, negative thoughts. Dark cloud, upsetting. You can't get into the fun of the moment. You might even find the more you try, the worse it gets. The louder these thoughts get in your head to the point where you're like, you know what, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go home. So you get home and you're sitting on your own and you're like, God, why did that happen to me? What is that? I'm going to try journaling. Write down how I feel. But still, next time you go out with your friends, the same thing happens. Maybe you try watching a motivational video, something to cheer you up, some kind of thoughts and ideas that other people find really useful and it doesn't work for you. Or, you just decide, next time I'm just going to be happy. I'm going to just fake it until everyone around me believes that I'm happy. But those thoughts are still there. I guess the important question is, if all these things are out there that are so positive, journaling, meditation, the motivational videos, the think positive stuff, why is it that these negative thoughts still come around? You're trying so hard to silence this voice inside you, but you don't know where it comes from. Why can't you just turn this off? That's a question that I asked myself for a long time. And really the answer is pretty simple. All these anxieties, depression, sadnesses and stuff, they are not logical. And you're trying to think about them use these logical tools, right? We do this journaling and try and get these thoughts out, but they still stick there. I'm trying to get them on paper and they're still sticking in my mind, So why is that? We're trying to use this logical approach to something that is totally not logical. You might have heard people talk about the animal mind, the subconscious mind, all kinds of names for it, And again, these names aren't particularly helpful because it makes us just realize there's something we can't do anything about. Well, that's just my animal mind speaking, I know a long time ago I had an argument with a girlfriend of mine, and I said all this stuff that I didn't really mean in the moment, and then half an hour later, I was like, God, why did I say that? That's super weird. Oh, it's just my animal mind speaking. It was close to a truth, but the reality is I didn't understand that there was this switching mechanism in my mind. So how does it work? Well, there's an analytical mind, which is perfect. It's calm, it's rational, it's thinking, it's logical. And then there's this reactive mind, and that's the animal mind, subconscious mind, all these other things, labels that, again, aren't very helpful. But reactive, what is it? It's illogical, it's crazy, it's not thinking, and it reacts to stuff, okay? So that's why in these moments, maybe, if I'm out with my friends and I have that moment where I get sort of sad inside my head, what happened? My reactive mind reacted to something in my environment and I have no way to control that. Whew, ow, painful, right? So what is this reactive mind? The reactive mind has one job: to survive, to stay where it is. It doesn't need to think. It doesn't need to ration or understand. It doesn't even care what I believe or what you believe. It's just trying to survive. And the most annoying thing about it is it doesn't respond to journaling, therapies, affirmations, breath work, meditation, all those things that I tried to silence it, And the reason is none of those therapies really understand what it is or how it works or that it even exists, It's just you're fixing a problem here when it's in your mind. And the reason that's so rough is because the reactive mind actually stores all the negative crap that happens to you. Pains, losses, unconsciousness, taking drugs, all this stuff that we have been taught for such a long time doesn't have an effect on us long term. It's all stored right there in the reactive mind, waiting like a little sleeper cell to stop you from being successful, to make you sad when you want to be happy, to make you miss someone 10 years after you broke up with them, to make you question everything about yourself. That all comes from the reactive mind. And that's all stuff that we all live with because we didn't even know it existed until fairly recently. So all the stuff that I tried focuses on trying to control your thoughts. If that worked, I would have been better. But controlling your thoughts is very rational because you're going, oh, I can take that under my control. But the reactive mind, as we talked about, not rational at all. So you can't control an irrational thing trying to be rational, if that makes any sense. Like a crazy dog. You got this dog that's trying to bite you. You can't just say to it, hey, look, I'm not a bad person. I'm not trying to, rob this parking lot or whatever it is. It's got one goal, attack you. And that is very similar to the reactive mind. The more you try and reason with it, the more it's going to fight back and make you sick or whatever. And a great example of that for me was I went to therapy when I was younger. And the more I talked about the stuff I was trying to heal, the worse I felt. And I would leave these sessions after half an hour or whatever and feel worse. And like, oh, God, I don't feel like I'm like improving because of this, And what I now realized was happening was I was stirring up all this stuff that's stored in my reactive mind and wasn't doing anything about it. I was just going, hey, yeah, that exists. But I wasn't able to do anything about it because I couldn't get into it, And I took that on as a failure of myself. I was weak. I couldn't overcome these thoughts. But I'm not weak. I just didn't know how to handle this problem that I didn't know that I had. So I've said this word reactive mind a lot. Okay, so how does it actually work? For instance, when you're younger, you hurt yourself. You're running along a street and there's cars going by and you're trying to see a friend and you trip and you bang your head, yeah? And then there's a big bruise that appears on your forehead. Well, we're kind of taught that we don't remember that stuff. What I now know is all of that gets recorded in the reactive mind. The fact that it was cold outside, the fact there were cars going by, the fact that my head hurts, the fact that my toe hurt where I tripped, the smells that were in the air on the day, how the air felt against my skin, the clothes I was wearing, what position my body was in, all of these things are recorded in the reactive mind. Again, without thought, without any rationality. So what then happens later in life, say that happened when it was a cold day, it was December, I could smell roast chicken, let's say that. Then what happens later in life, it's cold outside, I smell roast chicken and I get a headache. I have no idea where I get a headache. And then I take some Advil or whatever, and my headache goes away and I stop thinking about it. But I can't piece together the fact that every single time I smell roast chicken and it's cold outside, I get a headache. Super weird, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I know that I have 1,000 of these things that have been affecting me for such a long time. These weird feelings that I don't know why they happen, Like I said, you're at dinner with your friends, you suddenly feel like you don't want to talk to anyone. Why does that suddenly happen? What triggered that thing to happen? Well, probably one of these moments that's recorded in the reactive mind that we have no control over until fairly recently. And these moments, they have a name. They're called engrams. And it comes from this book called Dianetics that teaches you how to get rid of these engrams and how to look at them properly. Because the problem is we have these two areas of storage, right? We have the analytical mind, rational, calm, thinking, clean. And we have the reactive mind that's just crazy, full of chaos, and makes you sick, and makes you worried, it makes you anxious, makes you sad, all those things. So these are two different areas of storage. And when you go into the things that I tried, like meditation, reading positive books, positive thinking, therapy, all those things, all I'm doing is looking at my analytical mind because I can't access these things because they're so hidden, so cleverly hidden, that they're just sitting there just to affect me. And what I realize is that by doing those things that are looking over here at the analytical mind, we're looking in the wrong place, and God, was I annoyed when I saw that. I spent so many years looking over here when I should have been looking over here. And I kicked myself, but I was happy that I finally found a solution. And I want you to understand how powerful this thing is, right? Because if this reactive mind, animal mind, whatever, has been recording your whole life, then anytime you hurt yourself, anytime you were really sad, anytime you lost someone that you loved, anytime that you were sick, anytime that you were high or did drugs or drunk even, everything that happened to you, around you, in that environment, in that time, is recorded here in the reactive mind to just affect you for the rest of your life without you knowing, without you being in control of it. And that is crazy because it finally made me understand all these weird moments where I was like, that doesn't feel like me. Like I said, the stuff I said in the argument, that doesn't feel like me. Or the moment in the restaurant where I get sad, doesn't feel like me. Or reacting like really crazily to bad news that isn't really that bad, not me. So why was that? Well, geez, it was all stuck over here in the reactive mind. So if you got this far in the video, you're probably wondering, all right, so what do I do about this? So we have this reactive mind. We now know where all the stuff comes from, right? Well, there's this method called Dianetics, and basically it precisely locates all these moments, these incidents that we talked about, and it removes all the energy from them, all the stuff that allows them to impact you. So we have these reactive moments hurting us, coming in on us, and this method actually removes their ability to do that. It takes away their power. So you now become more yourself. And it's not like you're erasing these moments from your life. You're actually making them more yours because you're making it so you can look at them and they're memories rather than things you can't see that are hidden, you know? And the cool thing about it is, like, you have a personality, I have a personality. By removing all this other stuff that makes me question who I am, I now feel more myself. My personality is this analytical, thinking, rational person, you know? It's not this crazy, weird, anxious, stressed, sad person. Those are all from those moments that I can't control, that was just acting on me. And this process actually removes all the stuff that isn't you, so it allows you to be more you. And the cool thing about that is it's now easier to live life, to have relationships, to talk to people, to go out with my friends, whatever it is, because I'm actually just being myself. So next time you're in a position where something happens and you suddenly like, wow, that's weird, doesn't feel like me. Or you get in an argument and you say something that you didn't mean, or whatever it is, just remember, it's not you. It's this reactive mind up here. And it's okay. It's absolutely okay, because we didn't even know that this existed until pretty recently. So, and the crazy thing that I want you to take away from this video is you are not that voice in that moment. You are not that sadness. You are not that feeling of introversion when you're supposed to be having fun with your friends. You are not your reactive mind. And if you want to know more about that, watch this next video. It'll be around this video somewhere or in the description. And I'll teach you more about it, teach you how this thing is created and how you can do something about it. All right.